Shalom. This week's Torah portion is Parashat Shoftim, the fifth Torah portion in Sefer Devarim, beginning in Deuteronomy chapter 16 and verse 18. Parashat Shoftim is always read on the first Shabbat of the month of Elul, and the portion features many commandments which reflect the nature of this special month. Commandments relating to justice and sovereignty, and many concepts which on some level can be seen as connecting to the themes and the spiritual goals and aspirations of Elul. In chapter 18, the children of Israel are warned against a variety of occult practices, false beliefs, and superstitions that were prevalent among the pagan nations of the land of Canaan. When you come to the land that Hashem your God gives you, we read, you shall not learn to act according to the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you one who causes his son or daughter to pass through the fire, one who practices divinations, an astrologer, one who reads omens, a sorcerer or an animal charmer, one who inquires of Ov or Yidoni, or one who consults the dead. For anyone who does these is an abomination of Hashem. And because of these abominations, Hashem your God banishes the nations from before you. You shall be wholehearted with Hashem your God. So these are prohibitions against all sorts of attempts to reveal the future, including omens, witchcraft and incantations, mediums, oracles, and attempting to receive a message from the dead. All these forbidden practices involve devoting oneself to impure forces, which draw their energy from the side of destruction and death. This group of verses reaches its climax in verse 13, a short statement that stands in diametric opposition to these pagan beliefs. A verse that really expresses one of the major spiritual goals of this month of Elul. You shall be wholehearted with Hashem your God. In addition to translating the word tamim as wholehearted, the word tamim, you shall be tamim with Hashem your God, can also be understood as meaning complete, innocent, perfect, simple. In the context of this verse, all of these words are interchangeable. In other words, the verse's message is to remain faithful with simple, perfect faith. But how does one fulfill this calling to be wholehearted with God? Rashi explains the verse to mean, live your life with God in simplicity and look to Him in anticipation. And don't attempt to predict what the future holds. Rather, whatever happens to you, accept it with simplicity, and then you will be with Him and in His portion. So as opposed to frantically predicting the future by trying to manipulate dark forces or by falling for the scam of those who claim they can, Torah here commands us to be wholeheartedly devoted to Hashem in perfect faith. Now, it's quite human to be concerned about what the future may hold and what it may bring, especially for those who see the world as a godless chaos governed by coincidence alone, or even worse, a place dominated by malignant powers bent on man's destruction. For those people, obsessing over the unknown of tomorrow unleashes a torrent of anxiety and even terror. But if our distress causes us to seek security and reassurance, we cannot look for answers through the agency of impure beliefs or rituals. We must simply walk with our faith in Hashem. That seems to be the basic understanding of this verse and its placement here. But simple faith does not mean being simplistic. Some may err and conclude that this whole thing means that the Torah is telling us not to think too much, not to overthink things, as if this concept of simple faith stands in contradiction to a stimulated intellect. So open up your heart. The Midrash Sifri explains the verse this way. Be wholehearted with Hashem your God. When you are wholehearted, your portion is with Hashem your God. Thus King David said in Psalms 26:11, as for me, I will walk bitummi, wholehearted in my perfect innocence. Redeem me and show me favor. And in chapter 41:13, and I, bitummi, in my innocence you have supported me, and you have stood with me forever. These verses inform us that this level is one of the highest that a person can aspire to. That through the attribute of wholeheartedness, Torah promises, one will literally be one with Hashem your God. This was the praise of Noah and of Jacob. Noah is described as tamim, perfect in his generation, and Jacob is described as ish tam, a simple man. So listen to this. In the allegory of the Song of Songs, the consummate love song of the Creator, God twice refers to Israel as tamati, literally my tamima, my whole one, my perfect one. In chapters 5 and 6, those verses from God's perspective call Israel my dove, my sister, my perfect one. Our sages elucidate that it was at Mount Sinai, at the event of the giving of the Torah, that Israel demonstrated this attribute of Tamimut, because as everybody knows, Torah testifies that in accepting Hashem's Torah, Israel made no preconditions, but collectively declared that they would keep all of God's commandments, including the ones that they don't necessarily understand, as we learn in Exodus 24:7. Everything that Hashem has said, na'aseh v'nishma. Literally, we will do and we will obey, meaning, first and foremost, we will do. And while performing his will unconditionally, we shall endeavor to understand to the best of our ability. But even if there are commandments whose reasoning we do not understand, we will fulfill them just the same. So the allegory of the Song of Songs describes Hashem as responding, my darling, my love, my tamimah, my wholehearted one, because they asked no questions. They declared simply, whatever you want of us, we're yours, we will do. The deepest truth is that to be tamim, wholehearted with Hashem, really means to completely nullify one's own will to Hashem's will. To come to a state known as bitul. Bitul means to nullify or cancel. To cancel oneself, or rather one's self, into the presence of Hashem. That is the original and true cancel culture. To nullify ourselves, our concerns, our fears, our petty personal agendas to Hashem. This is Torah's resounding message in the call. Be wholehearted with Hashem. Don't obsess about tomorrow and what may be waiting for you. Do not be concerned about that which you have no control over. Live with and for Hashem each day, and accept whatever comes from Hashem, meaning everything that comes with faith. This is the highest level of faith, our sages teach. It means counting on him in the midst of whatever it is. As Rabbi Akiva taught, whatever Hashem does is only for the good, a way of living that he learned from his teacher, Nachum Ish Gamzu, who would famously say, this too is for the good. No matter how things appear on the surface, Hashem's ultimate plan for man is for goodness. This was the level of faith of Avraham Avinu, our father Abraham. Indeed, in Genesis 17, Hashem instructed him, I am El Shaddai, walk before me and be tamim, be wholehearted. Now, everybody knows that Abraham was the first believer in God after many generations in which that knowledge had been lost. It was he who rose up to confront and destroy idolatry, and it was he who returned belief in the one God to the world and called out in the name of Hashem, making his name known in the world. But open up your heart in the deepest way and understand just to what extent Avraham responded to that call of Hashem's to him, walk before me and be tamim. So, after a lifetime of remaining childless, God tells him that he will have a son, which comes to pass when Avraham is 100 years old. And God assures Abraham that this son Isaac will carry on his legacy, telling him in Genesis 21:4, in Isaac shall your seed be called. But then, God tells Abraham in Genesis 22, take your son, your only son whom you love, Isaac, and bring him up as an offering. And what does Abraham do? Abraham does not question, hesitate, or falter. He gets up early in the morning, saddles his donkey, splits the wood, and they're off. Never asking a thing. Never saying like, but you told me that through Isaac, and now you're telling me to slaughter him? No, he doesn't ask a thing because God told him, walk before me and be wholehearted, and that's just what he did. This is the level of faith, not of simply just fulfilling God's will, but of canceling one's own will, of nullifying one's own essence completely to Hashem. He got up early, the verse says, there's no time to waste. You've told me what you want me to do, and I'm ready. And not only this, but open up your heart, so deep. When God calls Avraham, Avraham answers, Hineni. Hineni means, here I am. Here I am, I'm ready. However you want me. Here I am about to finally have a son. Here I am ready to offer him up to you. Here I am ready to serve you in this world. Here I am in the fiery furnace ready to die for you. Wholehearted with Hashem your God means whatever your will is, it's all the same to me. As David prays in Psalms 40, verse 9, to fulfill your will, my God, is my desire. This is the secret of our sages' teaching that for the tzaddikim, the truly righteous, there's no difference between this world and the world to come. Because the tzaddik, the righteous person, says, whatever, wherever you want me, I'm with you. It's just all the same to me. This command, this call to wholeheartedness, is a call to every single individual, each according to his or her level, commensurate to the degree in which the individual is able to grasp this truth, because it's not simply an outlook, it's a way of being, a way of living, to believe and to know on the deepest level God and God alone is in control and seeking our good. Midrash teaches that the mitzvah of "and you shall love Hashem your God with all your heart," which we learned in Deuteronomy 6, means that when it comes to Hashem, your heart should not be divided, meaning to be accepting of whatever hand Hashem is dealing to us. On the deepest level, the call to be wholehearted with God in this week's Torah portion is included in the commandment of loving Him. So open up your heart deeper than ever before. In the chapters of the Fathers, we learn that the only love that's real is love that is not dependent on anything. If love is dependent on some external factor or consideration or motivation, then when that thing is removed, the love disappears too. So if one's love of Hashem is dependent on how he perceives Hashem is treating him, so then all the while that things are going great, things are going the way he wants, he feels the love. But if it seems to him that Hashem is not treating him fairly, then his love for Hashem will quickly diminish. An undivided heart in loving God means having the clarity of faith that no matter where, no matter what, in every situation, no matter how it may seem, I believe that it's all Hashem's kindness and compassion. That kind of love will not fade, and such faith is the fulfillment of Torah's call, be wholehearted with Hashem your God. Shalom. May our spiritual work during this month of Elul encourage each of us to live each day wholeheartedly with Hashem, walking in simple faith with an undivided heart. Shabbat Shalom.